Auburn Gresham is a great place to live. Unless you've spent some time here, you won't know the beauty of it.
People really do have a positive outlook about Auburn Gresham. It's just a matter of getting the word out that the community is here and it's vibrant and there are things to do here.
We are a diamond on the South Side. People just don't know it. It feels good to be here. I love my house. I love my community.
The community is in a wonderful location, right off the Dan Ryan. We're not that far from downtown or from the western suburbs. We have the beautiful Auburn Lake. I mean, we have this community, to me, is a gem in the South Side.
Auburn Gresham was originally settled by German and Dutch farmers in the 1800s on the south side of Chicago. Multiple railroad lines built in the mid-1800s fed the Vincennes Trail, known today as Vincennes Avenue. Railroad workers needing housing constructed homes around the area bordering the beautiful lagoon.
Back in about the 1850s through 1880s, there's a nickname called Winnacana, so it's Winnacana Lagoons, and it's a chain of lakes. And years ago, the area was a very wealthy area, nice Victorian homes, there's some gray stone row houses. But it's one of my favorite places because it's surreal.
These breathtaking lagoons are a hidden treasure of the South Side that can still be found today.
If I was to invite someone to do a tour of Auburn Gresham or to see our neighborhood, first thing I would like to bring them through in the spring and show them Auburn Lake, show them our geysers stick coming up out of a lagoon that's hidden back that you wouldn't even notice.
It's a great place to go grab a book and read. It's very calming. The Park District puts fish in there in the summer, so you see people fishing. Auburn Lakes is beautiful.
When you stand there by the lagoons, you forget for a minute that you're only 200 feet away from 79th Street, seconds away from this densely populated community of Auburn Gresham. And it's just a place that kind of whisks you away to another place, another time.
Overlooking Auburn Lake is Mount Hermon Baptist Church, one of the oldest churches still standing in the Auburn Gresham community.
It was actually built in 1885. Swedish Baptists occupied this church. It was a Normal Avenue Baptist Church. But since 1961, since we've been here, we've been a staple in the community. And so since that time, we've been working to interact with the community in terms of outreach and try to promote some type of change or transformation within the community.
Under Reverend Moses' pastorate, Mount Hermon initiated the Nehemiah Project.
What I did is I presented to the congregation a 52-day plan that was based off of the biblical account of Nehemiah, when Nehemiah went back to Jerusalem to rebuild the walls. So I thought that I would use that biblical account to challenge the members of Mount Hermon to restore the church. And so we've been battling to try to keep the church. This church, the building itself, and next year will be 130 years old. And so this building is actually the oldest standing building in Auburn Gresham.
Accessibility to transportation helped to triple Auburn Gresham's population between 1920 and 1930. New businesses, theaters, and homes began to emerge.
Auburn Park was kind of the oldest part of the community, and 79th and Halsted was kind of the downtown section of Auburn Park. The bungalows were built and the working class and families moved in, 79th and Ashland became kind of the epicenter of the Gresham community. So you have Auburn Park to the east, the oldest community, and Gresham to the west, and the Highland Theater at the corner of 79th and Ashland was built around 1925, which the majority of the big, beautiful buildings were built during that time. And the Highland Theater was built to, vaudeville plays and shows were there. And at one time, it had as many, it was like the Broadway of the south side of Chicago.
The Highland closed as a movie house more than 3 decades ago, but it was later converted into a facility designed exclusively for religious and inspirational events, conferences, meetings, and revivals. This 2,000-seat majestic Renaissance Revival building has served as a headquarters of the Ambassadors for Christ World Outreach Ministry since 1990. The AFC has become a beacon for hope in the community, housing a multicultural theater, several nonprofit organizations, and a church incubator. The extensive terracotta work on its facade, terrazzo flooring, marble walls, and elegant chandeliers adorning the main lobby of the AFC render visitors breathless. The population boom of the 1920s also gave rise to the construction of the classic Chicago bungalow. These single-family homes established Auburn Gresham as part of Chicago's bungalow belt. These unique homes can still be found on nearly every block in Auburn Gresham.
As you drive around or you look around, this is a very strong bungalow community.
To the west of the Highland Theater, we now have a national historic district.
Some of the best in the city are in this community.
It was a working class area. Irish and German families moved in. People that didn't make a lot of money, but the housing stock, the stained glass windows and all of the ornate designs of those houses have kind of stood the test of time, and now, it would take $1 million to reproduce one of those houses.
In the 1950s, African Americans began moving to the area, and the integration of the neighborhood was relatively painless.
My first memories of Auburn Gresham was before I moved into Auburn Gresham at the age of 13, when I used to ride the bus to Morgan with my mom. It was always such a beautiful and well-manicured area with a lot of friendly people. And that was one place that I said, when I grow up, I'm going to get a home there. And that's exactly what I did.
Everybody knew everybody.
Back then, some of the things I can remember, the milkman, fresh fruit carts. We had department stores, delis, bakeries. It was really nice to grow up in.
I live in Auburn Gresham now. My family moved to Auburn Gresham in 1967, the summer of 1967, and we were probably the first African-American family in the little area in which I moved.
It was a big family. It became a big family. You got to know your neighbors.
White flight started to sweep the community in the 60s and 70s. And by the 1980s, the once exclusively white population was now 98.4% African American.
The residents that moved here in the 50s and the 60s and the early 70s, the African Americans that moved here, they all had jobs and they all had a lot of pride, and they kept up their homes, they kept up their properties. You could drive down our blocks and see very nice, tidy lawns, and it was a very, very communal place at the time.
When I first moved here, it wasn't exactly shifting so much at that time. It was still heavily white. But let's say, I'm just going to say overnight, it shifted.
It was a matter over a year or two where you saw the exodus, not only of the families, but also of the businesses.
At the same time that was moving out, what I was seeing in the early 70s, 80s, a lot of people were taking advantage of the empty storefronts, a lot of excess of businesses coming in to found abandoned buildings, and there was also just a lot of buildings left abandoned ever since that flight took place.
In the 80s and 90s, with the loss of many commercial businesses and investors, the neighborhood was hit hard by drug and gang violence.
You had the influx of a void was filled by drug houses. We had gangs.
All of that hit us for about 10 years. We were down until the neighborhood decided to rally.
The community leaders took notice and began to rally to take back their neighborhood. They organized marches, set up block clubs, and community churches like St. Sabina became heavily involved in the well-being and future of its neighborhood.
We would have regular Friday night marches against the drug houses, also against alcohol and tobacco.
Every block got a block club, just about. And we do have a block club president coalition that we bring all the block club presidents together and we discussed our blocks. We had every agency that was available working with us to turn our neighborhood back around and to take it back. We fought. We saved our community, and we're still fighting to keep saving other blocks that's having problems.
You come together, you work together, you fight together, and you raise the issues with one voice. You set the pace and the path for greater victories.
You are part of an organized community. Hopefully, that message and that vibe can carry on when newer folks move into the community.
In urban America, you have to fight for the things that you believe are important and fight for equality in services and in development.
As a resident of Chicago, sometimes you don't look at your home and really admire it, but St. Sabina Church is just awesome.
The church here at St. Sabina was established back actually in 1916 in a candy store. And then this particular building we live in now is 1933 was dedicated. When I first came here and became pastor in 81, the diocese said, well, maybe we should tear this down and build a box that would be more efficient to keep up in order to keep the expenses in. And we said, well, give us a chance. Give us a chance to keep, because you don't have structures like this. And in my mind, this is one of the most beautiful sanctuaries there are in the city of Chicago. The old buildings can be an anchor around your neck sometimes, but they're also something of artwork that you don't want to lose. So we try to make this not only a place where we say we celebrate our history, but we make history.
Events like the 79th Street Renaissance Fair, new community centers, and growing businesses show that change is occurring and Auburn Gresham is on the rise again.
I saw the neighborhood at the top. I saw the neighborhood in the middle. I saw it drop all the way to the bottom. I saw it rise halfway back up, and then now we're at a standstill fighting to take it back to the top. But trust me, we'll get there.
We've reinstituted community engagement as it was back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s when this was predominantly Irish Catholic and German, and there was the Southside Irish Parade. In fact, the start of the Chicago's Irish Parade started right here in the parish of St. Sabina and went from 79th and Ashland to 79th and Halsted. We've recreated that energy by developing something called the 79th Street Renaissance Festival.
What's up, 79th Street? I can't hear you, somebody scream!
I think we're near 10 years. It's a new tradition, and it's great. The streets are full of people who are just enjoying themselves. We have a great time, and it's free. It's been going on and so successful. People come into Auburn Gresham for the 79th Street Renaissance Festival.
The future looks bright here in Auburn Gresham. Every day, the community is improving, and residents are relentless in their fight to preserve the place they live and love.
There's things for seniors to do. There's all types of dance classes, aerobics classes. There's movie theaters. There's live theater. There's places for kids to go skating and bowling.
We have the only bowling alley skating rink, private, public partnership in the city of Chicago with the King Center down the street.
Built in the last 10 years, the Martin Luther King Family Entertainment Center, and is open to the public, and it's a return to those same types of entertainment venues that were once accessible years ago.
We have great parks. You can play and learn in the community as well as live.
One thing I like about this community is that it is family oriented, and the neighbors, we're closer more in this community, so we look out for each other.
Since 1926, the community has been served by two well-known schools, Leo Catholic and Calumet High Schools. Calumet was located at 8131 South May from 1926 to 2006. Then it was closed to make way for Perspectives Charter School as a part of the city's Renaissance 2010 program. Perspectives embraces the idea that social and emotional learning is an integral part of the Perspectives education model. Over the many years that Calumet High School has had its doors open, it has seen its fair share of changes. Among those changes include the students who attended Calumet. Some of those more notable students were singer Shaka Khan, baseball star Kirby Puckett, and actress Marsha Warfield. Named in honor of Pope Leo XII and established in 1926 by the Congregation of Christian Brothers, Leo Catholic has been dedicated to educating the men of Auburn Gresham for the past 88 years. Leo has a diversified college prep curriculum and stresses academics first. Its rich history and pristine reputation leaves it, too, with its fair share of notable alumni.
This is our Hall of Fame.
People like Thomas R. Fitzgerald, Supreme Court Chief Justice, Bob Podesta, Secretary of Commerce, and Thomas Murphy, CEO of General Motors, are among some of the top Leo grads.
It screams pride. Chicago itself is a city built on pride and tradition, and it just definitely poured all the way over into Leo High School. Traditionally, the Catholic League was predominantly white. Leo was one of the schools that was one of the first to open their arms and doors to African American students.
New developments in transportation, along with its location, swiftly is making Auburn Gresham a popular choice for new residents.
We've begun, kind of restoring 79th to a place where you want to walk and see. You want to be a part of the community. You want to breathe and listen to the sounds of urban America, urban in the sense of vibrancy.
The close proximity to everywhere. I love that, especially living in a Dan Ryan.
Getting ready to bring in a Metro station on 79th Street.
79th Street is one of the busiest thoroughfares in the city. So Metro would be a wonderful sort of rebirth where individuals seeking jobs outside of the core or urban core would have access to the downtown area and to the suburban communities surrounding the city that would be dedicated to the Tuskegee Airmen, because we have a few of the Tuskegee Airmen still alive that live in the Auburn Gresham area.
We love to tell the story about Auburn Gresham.
It has all of the bells and whistles of a neighborhood of choice.
It's a wonderful community of great people. It always has been, and it always will be.
I can actually leave my keys. I have a choice of neighbors I can leave my house keys with when we leave town.
A lot of the people who have been here 30, 40, and 50 years.
I love this community. As an elected official here, I want to just rebuild or build it up or keep it moving so that my kids can say they love this community as well.
Sometimes it's good to let people see that you're not perfect, that there are other things going on in your neighborhood, but there's nothing that can't be corrected and can't be fixed and can't be taken care of. And we know that there are good people that want to see this community survive and move forward.
Just a whole lot of factors now that make this community just a really great place to live, and will continue to be even a greater place to live as times go on. I think 10 years from now, you're going to see Auburn Gresham as being one of the, talked about neighborhoods of the city of Chicago.